I would love to welcome Punuka up to the stage. This is a research report and presentation. I will allow them to introduce themselves and then jump right into it.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for still being here. My name is Isioma Idigbe, and I'm a partner at the law firm Punuka Attorneys and Solicitors, heading its media, entertainment, intellectual property, and technology practice. And we are grateful to the Omniverse for giving us the opportunity to present the reports of our recent research on the impact of artificial intelligence on the creative industries. This research was done in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, as well as Google Nigeria. And we are grateful for the partnership of the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, as well as Google Nigeria. This will be very brief. In April 2023, as part of the Nigerian government strategy to drive economic growth through technology, particularly leveraging artificial intelligence, the Federal Ministry of Communication, Innovation and the Digital Economy welcomed over 120 stakeholders working in artificial intelligence all over the world to a 4-day National Artificial Intelligence Strategy Workshop in Abuja, Nigeria, in order to create Nigeria's national AI strategy. Following the workshop in October of the same year, the Federal Ministry of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy launched the Nigerian Artificial Intelligence Research Scheme to provide grants to support researchers and startups focused on using AI to accelerate a number of sectors in the Nigerian economy. However, AI acceleration of the creative economy was not included as part of the priority sectors that would receive funding from the grant. However, it is important to note that of the 45 recipients of that grant, there was one researcher that received funding to research on the intellectual property of dancers using AI technology and economic incentives. Now, this outcome was rather surprising in the light of the transformative evolution currently ongoing in the creative economy and driven by advancements in artificial intelligence. In 2023 alone, YouTube videos related to generative AI tools garnered over 1.7 million views, highlighting the burgeoning interest and widespread adoption of these technologies. Generative AI, a subset of AI technology, is democratizing creativity within the creative industry by making it possible for anyone with a smartphone, laptop, and requisite knowledge of artificial intelligence tools to explore opportunities within the creative industry. According to Forbes, this shift is leveling the playing ground and enabling a diverse range of individuals to become creators. The barriers of language and location, which once restricted market opportunities, are being dismantled as AI tools facilitate global reach and engagement. Now, in Nigeria, this democratization holds significant promise, and it is critical, which is the premise of our research, that the Nigerian government aligns its position on AI to prioritize the creative industry as a key sector that can accelerate growth with the use of artificial intelligence. With a young, tech-savvy population and a burgeoning creative sector, AI can empower more Nigerians to participate in the global creative economy. The ability to overcome language barriers through AI-powered translation and content creation tools means that Nigerian creators can reach and resonate with international audiences more effectively. AI can also streamline production processes, enhance creative outputs, and offer new avenues for innovation. However, critical concerns need to be addressed. The rise of artificial intelligence brings forth issues of attribution and copyright infringement as the lines between human and machine-generated content blur. There's also the potential impact on jobs, with automation posing a threat to certain roles traditionally held by humans. However, ethical considerations around the use of AI and the data it relies on cannot be overlooked. And as the creative economy continues to stretch and diversify, it is imperative that Nigeria deals with not just the opportunities, but the risk concurrently and responsibly. And so the key question that our research sought to answer was, how can Nigeria boldly balance bold exploration with responsible management to drive growth and foster a sustainable and inclusive creative economy using artificial intelligence. So the objectives were to explore the potential and current applications of artificial intelligence in the creative economy, to engage stakeholders, both public and private, and to develop strategies to maximize AI opportunities whilst mitigating associated risk, and to really just continue to ensure that the creatives themselves are the thought leaders and integral voices in the policy conversation around the creative economy, particularly as it pertains to artificial intelligence. So we conducted a survey which we started in October 2024, and actually this survey is still an ongoing concern. So we consider this report an interim report, and you would receive, I think some of you have already received a message from Omniverse sharing that survey link. I'm sure that that link will be reshared. Please endeavor to participate in this survey. And we've analyzed those responses. Just for the sake of time, I will just give a summarized view of some of the recommendations that we received, or the concerns and challenges that we identified in the course of this study. There were significant concerns. So our study right now, we have about 107 responses, and we surveyed public sector, private sector professionals, and trade organizations within the creative industries. So I'm just speaking to what the common themes that we observed in the responses from these three groups were. The responses from these three groups identified certain issues. The first being that there were overall concerns around the impact of artificial intelligence on intellectual property rights. And in fact, particularly the associations asked for reviews to our current copyright laws to accommodate the impact of artificial intelligence, specifically dealing with the issues of attribution rights, in terms of ownership of intellectual property that is generated with artificial intelligence. And we had a stakeholder roundtable yesterday, right here at the Omniverse, where we had stakeholders, where we presented these reports to stakeholders, and some of the comments that were also raised there were concerns around this transparency of the platforms who are creating these AI tools in terms of their research, their data sets, whether or not they have collected the right licenses from the copyright owners to use those data sets. There were also concerns around data privacy and protection, and and the respondents in general were of the opinion that we may need to update our data protection regulations to accommodate for the impact of artificial intelligence on that. There were also concerns around loss of jobs, but in the same time, there was also a view that the jobs that could be lost would likely be replaced by new jobs that are coming as a result of the impact of artificial intelligence on the space, and there was a need for more training programs to train the workforce to be able to function within these spaces, and also to reskill workers to allow them to transition into what the new workforce would look like. There were issues around the cost of artificial intelligence. Some respondents, quite a number of respondents, talked about not being able to adopt AI tools due to the issue of cost, and several other things like that. So in terms of recommendations, the recommendations from the respondents and that were indicated from our research was the need for there to be an AI policy for the creative economy, to establish collaborative stakeholder networks. That means that on the issue of AI policy, it must be a collaboration between all the relevant stakeholders, which include public sector and private sector stakeholders. There was also a consensus recommendation that the government should encourage the investment and incentivize the investment in AI adoption. There were also concerns, I forgot to mention, around cultural biases in artificial intelligence. And so as part of the recommendations, there were recommendations that there must be a prioritization on the promotion of localized AI training sets to manage the risk of cultural misrepresentation that you can find in current AI systems, and ensure that AI in Nigeria is representative of our diverse culture and peoples. There were recommendations around providing skills training and reskilling to address job displacement, and strengthening the transparency and accountability of not just platforms but users of artificial intelligence, to ensure that there is accountability, and also to generally foster the integration of artificial intelligence in our overall education sector, particularly in creative industry inclined curriculum. So we're thankful to all our respondents, to our partners, the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, as well as Google Nigeria and the Omniverse. And we hope that after hearing some of our interim reports, that a lot of you would share our survey and encourage more people to engage in this research. Just to make it clear that the research is not the end of this process, we would also be preparing a white paper policy proposition to the government as to some of these recommendations and how to action them in terms of policies regarding artificial intelligence in the creative economy. And it's also important to note that there are currently 2 bills at the National Assembly, one at the House of Representatives, and yesterday one at the Senate that are things to do with artificial intelligence. So the point is that the time to get involved in policy making around artificial intelligence and its impact on the creative economy is now. Because if we, as the creatives and people in the creative industry, do not get involved in these policy conversations, then we'll be victims of policies that are designed that do not take the peculiarities of our various subsectors within the creative economy into consideration. Thank you for your time, and do enjoy the rest of your time at Omniverse.